You're okay?
Yeah.
Can we lower?
Yeah.
Makofi kidogo wale wanaweza. From 5. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Congratulations, Treeside. Mtu asome hiyo kizungu, Permaculture Learning and Feeding Garden, courtesy of GGI Green Generation Initiative. One more time, makofi tafadhali. There is a song, it's an international song, I know you guys know it, it goes like this. Okiona ginyete koko morena yone mwene. Okiona ginyete koko morena yone mwene. Todiana mwene Anini morena yone mwene. Sikiaji ndani uzoge duda. Anini morena yone mwene.
So the reason we have this here is because over and above having this as a place to supplement nutrition for Treeside, it is also a learning center. So other schools around Treeside, the students in Treeside, the community, they can come here and learn about this whole system. So this whole space, it features a vertical garden, a food forest, and a chicken coop, and also the very compost system, which is right here behind us. And there's also a living herb wall. And this herb hall has all the types of herbs that you can also be able to use to supplement nutrition. And it's also been designed to demonstrate sustainable food production. So in every place you go, you'll see a sign as this one that you can be able to read what that space means. And you can also learn and you can share with other people. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much. I think now we can enter inside.
Hi, my name is Lizwathuti. I am an environmentalist, a global climate champion, but I'm also the founder of the Green Generation Initiative, which is an action-driven organization that works with children, especially schools across Kenya, the young people and the local communities to conserve, restore and protect the environment. So we demonstrate what we do by showcasing that there are solutions that can work for the people and there are solutions that can at the same time work for the environment, and at the same time the people can be able to generate even income that can improve their lives and livelihoods. So we are guided by 3 pillars, which we call people, planet and prosperity. And for every project that we do, it has to be working for the people and benefiting the people within that community. It has to also improve the state of our environment to make sure it's green, it's clean, it's healthy and safe for everybody, especially the children. And at the same time, the prosperity aspect is how do you now benefit from being part of environmental conservation? If you're planting a tree, how do you plant a tree that has value, such as a fruit tree that can be able to give you fruits that you can feed on to improve nutrition, and at the same time you can sell the surplus to the market. So today we are here at Treeside Special School, which is a school that we have been working with for the past years. And when we first came to Treeside Special School, we started by just planting fruit trees, and not just planting, but planting with the children here. And you know, Treeside is a school that has children with special needs. So we would come here with our team and we work with the students. We teach them how to plant a tree. We guide them so that also they can feel that joy of planting a tree that every other child out there in other schools also the way they feel. So we work with them, we teach them how to plant, and they're very active. They're the ones who water the plants, and they're of course guided by the farm managers because they also need additional support. And right now today we have seen how the fruit trees that we've been planting for the past months are already growing. We've already seen some that even are fruiting. And we came and we spoke to the teacher also in the school, because when we get into a school, we don't just go and do an activity and leave. We want to be able to make sure that we sustain that activity. So we get into the school, we work with the school to make sure that every challenge that comes up, we've been able to find a solution to address it. So that is the same model for Treeside, and that is how the Permaculture Learning and Feeding Garden models came about. And this was to supplement nutrition, because when we spoke with the teacher, we also noticed that within the nutrition part of it, that when it comes to even the vegetables, most of the times even in our schools, you find that it's mostly the cabbage that the students consume. But how about we add nutritious vegetables, managu, spinach, Chinese cabbage, the spring onions, the danias, everything that can be able to have an additional nutrient. And also because when you mix these vegetables and have the children eat something different every day, then it supplements their nutrition. And again, this being a special school, every child also needs to have an additional source of nutrients at the same time. So we came up with this model of the vertical hydroponic gardens. And the reason we chose this model was because it saves water. It saves 80% of water because the system is set in a way that it has an automated drip irrigation system that waters the entire garden for just 10 minutes every day. And that is enough water to water the whole system. And that means that they don't need to use a lot of water to be able to water it. And at the same time, that also saves the water bills, which can become also challenging, especially if schools have the little capacitation. And the other aspect was the fact that we also noticed that also within this school, because it's a special school, they're also not able to maybe cook things like meat because it's not every child that can eat meat. So we decided, why don't we also add a chicken coop within this garden so that they can have eggs where the students can have a protein supplement, and that is the egg. So today we are so proud that the school every month collects 6,000 eggs. That means in a day they have about 210 eggs because we introduced 225 chicken within the entire chicken coop. And this is helping them make sure that the kids can eat the eggs 2 times a week, and at the same time they have surplus. So that means the surplus they are also supplying to the nearby hotel, and that is earning them an income that can be able to support maybe even in other bills like electricity, water, but also to be able to manage the project. So it's a very self-sustaining project because right now the reason we are handing over is because we also right now don't need to keep in supporting the school because they're already generating enough to even buy the layers mash, for example. They have enough to be able to support the project to continue. So we're really glad, and this was actually our biggest vision, that we can create a self-sustaining system that supplies food in the school, enough for them to eat, and surplus for them to sell and make some resources out of it. And number 2, to create a learning center whereby the teachers can be able to use that to also educate the learners here about different things. We hear a lot about climate smart agriculture, but unless you show somebody what you mean, it is hard for them to understand. So this center, they can come in there and they can see what it looks like to produce a huge amount of vegetables within a small space. Because now for this garden, as small as it looks within the greenhouse, per peak harvest, they are supposed to get 20 kilograms of vegetables per peak harvest. So that's a lot and enough to actually feed the school. And the second aspect of the learning is also, we have the competency-based education. So competency-based also is supposed to be in a way that within our own schools, we've created similar projects where the children don't have to go so far to see what is happening, but they can, within their own school compound, they have somewhere where they can look down and learn about agriculture, learn about the environment, and not just learn, but also participate. So this project is very special to us because of this, and we want to be able to scale this to an additional 100 schools across Kenya. And the way we are doing this is we are identifying schools also within other counties, because we want to also create what we are calling the centers of excellence, where even the children that are engaging in the eco clubs, the 4K clubs, can be able to be part of this solution.
And Liz, of course, we have so many schools here in Kenya. How do you identify a school that you want to work with?
Yeah, so at the moment, we have still been using our criteria that we use when we are doing the tree growing. So because we don't just do planting of trees as an organization, which is one thing that I would say has set us apart, because we don't just do the planting, we do a lot of growing of the trees. And that is why, as you walked into the garden here in Treeside, you saw how big the fruit trees we've been doing in Treeside already are, and they're fruiting. So that's the model we are using. And for us to achieve this success of at least an 80% survival rate, one, we usually tell the schools that if they achieve even a 70 or 80%, we always will come back to add them more fruit trees. But number 2, we use the clubs, that is the eco clubs and the 4K clubs within the schools, to be able to support the learners also to be part of the growing process. So every learner is also able to adopt a tree each within their school compound, and that they are able to take care of it. So that is one of the models that we use. So how we identify the schools is, one, the school, we look at schools that have the the administration is willing to be able to accept the project, because it's one thing to do a project, but if the school has not shown the need for it, or if the school is not supportive, then that project is not likely to be sustained. So when we come into a school and we talk to the institution and they are welcoming to us and they like what we do and they appreciate it, we take that as a tick in terms of us introducing that project. So when we came to Treeside Special School, the teacher here, Teacher Salome, was really good to us and she was very open. In fact, the chicken coop was actually her who said, I really want something that the kids can get for protein. And initially we thought about rabbits, we thought about chicken, everything. And we came and asked her, what exactly would you think would be best? So we co-create with the school, so we do not impose the project on the school. The school says, we have a challenge here, can you people do this for us? And because it's within our organization's action of just leading on the project, so we do it for them. Yes. And the second thing is also security. Of course, we want to do it in a school that also potentially is fenced, because it means if there are any cows or goats passing by, they will not maybe like interfere either with the trees or with the garden. And the other aspect is the aspect of water. Although for water, it's a bit manageable now because we don't need so much for the garden. So it can also work for schools that they have water, but it's not so much water. So those are some of the criteria that we use. And I think there are many others, but those are like the most main ones that can be able to help the project to go on for a long time.
Okay, let me ask you, just in brief, let me take you back to the permaculture model.
Yeah.
You just talked about you don't use soil.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And we all know that soil has a lot of nutrients.
Yeah.
But now you say that you're supplementing it through the water.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just briefly tell us about now why you are not using the soil,
Yeah.
and the water that you're supplementing it with.
Yeah.
The nutrients that are there,
Yeah.
are they even environment friendly?
Yeah.
Just in brief.
Yeah, so one of the things that you'll notice within the vertical garden is that we are not using the soil. And one is because, once you use soil, you'll have to at some point either replace when you want to introduce a different crop. So it means also in terms of the maintenance of the garden itself, it may be a bit challenging, especially because once we've completed the construction and it's ready for the school to adopt, then they're supposed to be trained on how to do it, and then they carry on by themselves without us. So we want to be able to introduce also a system that is very easy. They don't have to replace the soils within the bags that you've seen. So we use what we call pumice, which is something that is already nutritious within the entire cycle, so they don't have to replace that. So that stays that for as long as that vertical garden is there, the pumice will be what they continue using to plant and introduce any other crop. So even when they harvest maybe the spring onions and they want to plant something different, they'll just plant as it is. And then of course the nutrients are actually organic nutrients that also like supplement the pumice to be able to continue ensuring that we have huge produce within the garden. And this is so that it can continue also like being productive. And actually for Treeside Special School, within the first 2 weeks, the school already harvested their first harvest for the spinach, which also means that there is something regenerative there's something special that is making the produce also to actually be sort of like to grow really fast. And we want to be able to encourage this as well, because it means that even for the school, it makes work easier for them. And number two, it increases the produce.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
In terms of capacity building, what
Yes.
are you doing to the students?
Okay, yeah. So for the students, one of our greatest components is that we don't work alone. So we work with the students. And like I mentioned, our core business actually is to create a generation that is conscious about the environment. And the only way to do this is if people can be able to be part of the solution and people can contribute to taking up the action. So we work with the students and we also train them, because now they can use the space to learn about agriculture. Whenever they have lessons, there are lessons they can take within the garden where they can practically see what happens. So that trains them and that helps them to have skills over and above the knowledge that they gain in class.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.